There's a story coming from Abia State, Benga, a very fresh one.
Yes, Abia State Governor Alex Otti has fired a bold shot, declaring that no individual or group, not even former Governor Orji Uzor Kalu, can stop his re-election bid. Speaking at a church event in Isialangwa South, Otti said, and I quote, "I am not bothered about 2027. The same God who settled 2023 will also settle 2027.
Governor Otti vowed that his government will continue to do the right thing, not minding the attacks by the opposition. Otti and three former governors of the state, Orji Kalu, Theodore Orji, and Okezie Ikpeazu, have in recent times been in a war of words, with Kalu vowing to stop Otti's re-election in 2027. Joining us for this discussion is Executive Director of Lead Network Africa, Chukwuma Okenwa. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Okenwa, for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right. Mr. Okenwa, would you say that the attempt to stop Governor Otti's re-election bid in 2027 is about his underperformance, or would you say it is more likely about the fact that he has stopped ex-governors from benefiting from, what their salaries typically would be like? Because that's the allegation we hear, that it's more political as opposed to his performance being in question.
When you talk about performance, key performance indices in this case, judging from the Abia of yesteryears compared to what it is today, empirically, it can be validated that what Abia has achieved under Otti's administration within 2 years and a half is almost 16 times, right? I mean, it does appear that over the years, there were, governance was non-existent in Abia State. You see, whether you talk about the influx of touts, threats, disturbances, anytime I get to drive to Abia, to bad roads, to some kind of things when you look at substandard jobs, that taxpayers' monies were invested into. And now you have a governor who has come to right the wrongs. So I think that the current day political battles has really nothing to do with, being well-intended for the good people of Abia, but it has everything to do with the fact that, certainly an Otti would not continue with that trend of trying to service the pockets of those who have held Abia State sway for years. I mean, the game has changed, and we hope that it's sustained beyond 2027. Even though, for those of us in the Saudis, understand that it's not a guarantee for Otti, I can tell you, but then we do hope the will of the people stands.
Now, Mr. Okenwa, I mean, just from what you said, that he's performed the key performance indices, and I'm sure Abians can also testify to this, isn't it counterintuitive that former governors will gang up and, try to stop him, someone that is developing and working in the best interest of the majority of Abians will stop his re-election? Where do you think this, for lack of a better word, beef or animosity came from? Could it be as a result of the pension laws for ex-governors?
Yeah, that's on one part. And on the other part, typical of Nigerian space, whether it's political or civic space, someone who is performing, someone who is regarded as the good one, who doesn't want to play according to some rules set by some people, is always seen as an outsider. And when you look at the social identity theory, the in-group will always want to theorize that, in every sense of it, they are far better to whoever doesn't belong. So clearly, Otti does not belong to that rank of governors who held the state's way, helped to facilitate laws that see that even after leaving office, they could still enjoy the lagers associated with their office. And he's come to change that, and it's no surprise they are doing everything. It's visible, that it does appear that the unspoken word is that this guy must be stopped at all costs, right? Otherwise, we are going to continue in this state of insignificance, where we are insignificant when it comes to consistent assessing those lump sums from the states and benefits.
Okay. I think my question would be, it's bordering on the fact that, I mean, this pretty much looks like, we all know it's a political move, because you have former governors who are coming back, even criticizing the roads and the construction that's being carried out by Governor Otti. But do you think, or do you also agree with the line of thought that all of this is happening because the governor has refused to join the current APC, or the party, the APC, and he has stuck to his guns that he's going to remain where he is, come what may, and he's still going to win? Because if he were with the APC, will things play out this way?
Well, two things. Let me say it has less to do with APC and more to do with those gang up of past governors who want to take back the state at all costs. And, the record shows that even in some roads, Otti brought like some renowned companies, to fix the road. One very renowned construction company was, was brought to bay to fix a road before now was characterized with lots of gully. I mean, I practically driven on one case to Abia, and, my vehicle was swimming, right? Despite being a high-rise vehicle, but I mean, practically swimming, trying to like move through the tides. The record shows currently that Otti has fixed those roads, right? And it's, when you compare that, I mean, the Abians themselves can confirm that lives for them is better under an Otti. And then when you now talk about like joining of APC, I really think, in all sense of it, I have a bit concern about Otti's continuance with Labour Party. Exactly. Considering that Labour and PDP now, yes, Labour and PDP now are like shaking ground. So I do not really know what is inspiring his courage, because continuing in a Labour Party, Otti must understand that the dynamics of 2027 will not be the same with 2023, right? First and foremost is that Obi is no more there, so the wave of obedient movement is not going to help. Second is that the Labour Party, with which he sought for position in 2023, is now shaking. We don't really know, right? Who the current leaders are working for. And then the third aspect, which is really like a very strong one, right, is I'm sure that Professor Otti will not be assigned as the returning officer for Abia State. How many of a kind of Professor Otti do we need, right? I mean, without a woman like that who could stand pressure, how would even Otti be a president or become a governor, right? So it's not just all about the will of the Abians. Regrettably, politics, in Nigeria is not all about your popularity, but all about those that the system want to, to emerge, and that's quite unfortunate.
Okay, I mean, I want to push back again on what you said about Otti's chances in the Labour Party, and I did share same concerns as well when you were speaking, because we've seen that the Julius Abure-led faction of the Labour Party seems to have, quote unquote, expelled Otti. They do not consider him to be one of them. So the Labour Party is a party that is divided within its house, and a party divided within its house cannot stand. What, from your perspective, are the options for Governor Otti? Do you suggest he maybe still stays and chugs it out with the Labour Party, or do you suggest he moves to another political party if yes, which?
I mean, if I'm to recommend, I can recommend two options, right? Based on Nigeria political reality, because of course, when it comes to politics, sentiments doesn't work, emotions or mere projections. You're actually talking about proper calculations, right? And by extension, permutations. You have to do your permutation clearly, and then you have to do like what we call reality check. Not just good wishes of, I know I'm going to do this, I know it's going to work, I know, I'm going to be favored. Beyond all of those things, the first choice for Otti would be to join APC.
APC over ADC?
I mean, that's like in shorter.
Would you say he has a better chance in APC over the ADC?
Certainly. I mean, like, for instance, this is going to be like anybody that joins the APC. For most of these governors joining APC, we've seen in time past, these guys clearly differ in both in ideology, in their position, and mannerisms with APC. But now, some of them seem to got no choice and they have joined the same party. What they are after is, first of all, political survival, and to see if they could, by any chance, thrive by joining the winning team. Because guess what? It is the APC-led administration that is going to decide the rule of the game. If Mr. President wants a free, fair, and credible election by 2027, the buck is going to start and end on his table. So it's just going to be very simple for APC to say, you know what, we want to return all our men. It's as simple as that's the reality we find ourselves, right? If it's a system where we can count on our institution to deliver the most popular, then I can say that Otti can go and relax. Then the second option would not be joining ADC, right? And of course, he would also be faced with the battle that's going to face the likes of P2B or the likes of Atiku. But one thing is going to be like a distinguishing factor, right? You know, and that is who is going to be the returning officer for Abia State.
All right, let's pause there.
Very great role.
Let's pause at who will be the returning officer for Abia State. We'll come back to we have a few more questions for you, but let's go on a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at Governor Otti's bold declaration of his re-election in 2027 being unstoppable, and we're joined by Chukwuma Okenwa, who has been speaking to us about Governor Otti's performance as well as predictions for 2027.
Okay, Mr. Okenwa, I wanted to ask you, follow up on your fears for who the returning officer would be. And for people watching, they will be quite taken aback that onto a democracy, that what sort of dysfunctional democracy would you have when the elections by the people will have to depend on who the returning officer is? Why did you raise an alarm about the returning officer in an election? And mind you that INEC is on the new boss, under a new dispensation, under Professor Joash Amokito.
Yeah, so two things. Let me say over the time, yes, we've seen like some professors come up openly to disclose that they were compelled to announce certain results. And what is most regrettable about that is that when such cases were referenced in the court, it was quickly swept in as though it never mattered in deciding the outcome of the cases. And so why wouldn't it be like a recurrent index when like there is sufficient evidence to believe that, you know, there are attempts to compromise returning officers? In some cases, there has also been reported some sorts of distrust, a kind of lack of accountability on the part of some of them. And it's also clear that in some regard, there is no appropriate procedure, right, put in place to ensure that we get the best professors, you know, who are renowned for integrity to actually oversee these processes, you know. Why I think so is the case of Professor Otti is just one instance of somebody crying and say, you know what, there are pressures. So the question is, where are the pressures coming from? Who are those mounting this pressure? And nobody mentioned the issue. All we just did is just to clap, that Otti was able to stand our ground. But people, I think it is criminal, you know, for some people to try to use their office, right? You know, public offices to influence or to compromise the system, to act against itself. That's almost like an autoimmune disease where like a system is fighting against itself. And that's what we clearly see. And so what I think would be that, I mean, the universities and all, in our case, since the Constitution recognized the need, you know, to get professors on board as those who understand academic rigors, right? they understand that merit by our standard must always be the case, considering that maybe in some cases students could be sacked even from the school just for malpractice, affecting one student. Now you are now talking about affecting the credibility of the whole process by a professor that is, can sack someone for examination malpractice. You are talking about taking a wrong decision that can produce people, who can mortgage the entire, future of upcoming generation through bad leadership and bad governance. So I think, when you have a professor not taking a stand, it's not something that is instantaneous. It's not just something about maybe someone just come up with the quick desire for speedy gratification. It is something that this person must have indeed been corrupt before now, right? And just, picked on that ground. So the merit, when corruption becomes merit, then there's a problem. When corruption becomes merit, well, let's look for who will deliver. When our politicians say looking for who to deliver, it means who will do their bid.
Okay. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a long political tussle back and forth, even though the governor himself has come out to say that the past governors, in other words, are just wasting their time. And the people have also proven to be with the governor, looking at his antecedents, especially the current one, what he's done and what he's been able to achieve in the space of just 2.5 years. Finally, my question to you, okay, I thought you were saying something. My question to you would be, where do the people stand? Where do they come in as much as we are discussing politics and this rivalry between the former governors and the current governor? Because it seems like we always focus on the politics and rather leave out the people. The people, as we speak, and we know from conversations, from responses, actions, are with the governor. They're not with the former governors. So where do the people stand in the midst of the political year when it comes? And where do you think the people would place their votes on? Who do you think they will place it on?
Okay, so in terms of who the people will stand, I think majority of Abians, any day, any time, having witnessed the pandemic of the Orji's dynasty, wouldn't want to stop at anything in supporting the re-election of Otti. But like I did mention, if all about re-election is just entirely dependent on who the people vote for, then we wouldn't have any concern. Yeah, we understand that even when people are part of the process, maybe take down notes, build their own situation room, the Electoral Act only recognizes INEC as the platform, the official platform, right? Commission to announce the result, and that whatever thing INEC announces, even if it's adverse to every other credible situation rooms, even if empirically you have other 3 situation rooms that all agree independently, but the one of INEC differs, it is what INEC has decided that is going to stand as the winning result.
We can hear you. All right. Just to conclude, we see, and from what you've said, that the citizens are with Governor Alex Otti. You also said that his best bet will be for him to move with the APC. How do you suggest that the citizens will interpret it? Should he take this advice and move to the All Progressives Congress? Do you think that will work for him? And is the citizens being on his side enough? Because we saw what happened in Rivers State and the support that the governor seemed to garner from the people, but it didn't seem like that was enough.
I mean, we've come to a point, due to the frequency at which politicians switch from one party to another, it's no longer the very fact that there are no ideologies backing those political parties. Switching is not a crime, and I can tell you, the Abians any day, anytime, would prefer good governance above, and care less about the political party. So to Abians, they know that once it's Otti, you do it. Once it's Otti, you can count on him for good governance, irrespective of the political party that he chooses to run. The most important thing is that in politics, you need a vehicle, right? The party is the vehicle to get you there. You must have to be in power, first of all, for you to do governance. If you don't do politics, you won't get the opportunity to do governance. And I'm sure that a great deal of Abians will understand that it is political survival first and foremost. before you talk about thriving in governance.
All right.
Political survival, he says. But it's fine. I don't know if the people of Abia State will fully agree with that move to the APC, but we'll get to find out. Thank you so much, Mr. Okenwa, for speaking with us. Thank you.